Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Speak Smart podcast. You know, we love to take deep dives into all sorts of fascinating topics related to language and communication.
Yeah, and today's topic is no exception.
Absolutely. We're going to be talking about active listening techniques and how they can be especially beneficial for language learners.
Ooh, active listening.
Exactly. And, we're going to be drawing insights from a conversation between two language learning experts, Sophia and James.
Awesome. They always have such insightful things to say.
I know, right? So let's just jump right into it. Sophia and James really emphasize that active listening goes beyond just, hearing the words.
Yeah, it's about engaging with the speaker on a much deeper level.
Right, like truly understanding their message, absorbing those subtle cues that often get lost in translation.
Especially as language learners, we're so focused on the words themselves that we might miss those important nuances.
It's like uncovering a hidden layer of meaning, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And that's where active listening techniques can really come in handy.
So tell me, what are some of the key techniques that Sophia and James highlight?
Well, they start with the importance of eye contact.
Eye contact, the foundation of any good conversation.
Exactly. It's the first step in showing the speaker that you're present, that you're genuinely interested in what they have to say.
But it's not just about staring intensely right.
No, there's a subtlety to it. Sophia and James actually suggest making eye contact for a few seconds, glancing away briefly, and then reestablishing that eye contact.
Oh, that's interesting. So it's about finding that balance between attentiveness and respect for the speaker's personal space.
Exactly. And they also mentioned adding in those occasional smiles and nods, just to show you're following along.
Those little nonverbal cues that can make a big difference.
Huge. They can really make the speaker feel heard and understood.
It's like a silent conversation happening alongside the spoken words, right?
I like that. And building on that idea, Sophia and James delve into this fascinating world of nonverbal cues.
Ooh, nonverbal cues, always so intriguing.
I know, right? They describe them as a second language, one that can reveal a speaker's emotions and intentions, even when their words might be saying something else entirely.
Wow, that's powerful. Especially for language learners, being able to read those nonverbal cues can be a game changer.
Absolutely. Think about it when you're navigating new cultures and languages. Those nonverbal cues can really help you understand what's really going on.
So it's not just about the words themselves, it's about the entire package.
The whole shebang.
So what kind of examples do they give for these nonverbal cues?
Well, they talk about things like posture, an attentive posture versus a bored slouch.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The difference between a genuine smile and a forced one.
Oh, yeah, you can definitely tell the difference.
Even the way someone's hand gestures can reveal their level of confidence or anxiety.
That's so true. I never really thought about it that way.
And what I find particularly fascinating is that these nonverbal cues can vary significantly across cultures.
Oh, that's a great point. A gesture that might be considered polite in one culture could be interpreted as something completely different in another.
Exactly. So for language learners, being aware of these cultural nuances can prevent misunderstandings and foster smoother communication.
It's like you're not just learning the language, you're learning the culture as well.
Absolutely. It's all interconnected.
That's a brilliant point. It highlights how active listening is not just about hearing the words, but about understanding the cultural context in which those words are spoken. It's about developing a sensitivity to the subtle nuances of communication that often lie beneath the surface.
It's like becoming a cultural detective, uncovering the hidden meanings and unspoken rules that govern social interactions. And that's where active listening truly shines, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Now, moving on to a challenge we all face. Sophia and James emphasize the importance of avoiding interruptions. They argue that interrupting can disrupt the speaker's flow of thought and make them feel like their ideas aren't valued.
It's a natural impulse, though, isn't it? To jump in with our own thoughts and opinions.
Especially when we're excited about the conversation.
Exactly. But learning to control that impulse is key to becoming a better listener.
So how to do that? What are some tips?
Well, they suggest practicing patience, taking a deep breath, and consciously waiting until the speaker has finished before sharing your own thoughts.
It's about respecting the speaker's space.
Yeah.
Giving them the opportunity to fully express themselves.
And I think it's worth noting that avoiding interruptions can be particularly challenging for language learners.
Oh, why?
Yeah. Well, when you're struggling to process the language in real time, it's tempting to interrupt and ask for clarification.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
But doing so too often can disrupt the flow of the conversation and make it harder to follow the speaker's train of thought.
So it's like a balancing act, right?
Exactly. You want to clarify misunderstandings, but you also want to maintain the flow of the conversation.
So what's the solution?
Well, perhaps asking clarifying questions at natural pauses in the conversation, or maybe jotting down your questions to ask later.
Ah, that's a good strategy. It's about being mindful of the speaker's experience and ensuring that communication remains smooth and respectful.
Exactly. And you don't want to just sit there in silence, right? Sophia and James, they recommend using those little active listening responses.
Like what? Give me some examples.
Like, I see, or that's interesting.
Also, just little things to show you're engaged.
Exactly, without interrupting the flow, you know?
Right.
Keeps the conversation moving.
And it can be especially helpful for language learners, I think.
Yep, totally.
Because they might be hesitant to interrupt or ask for clarification.
Right, or they might not have the words yet to fully express their thoughts.
But those little responses show that they're actively trying to understand.
Exactly, even if they don't catch every single word, you know?
It's like throwing a lifeline to keep the conversation flowing smoothly.
Love that analogy. And speaking of understanding, Sophia and James really emphasize the power of asking questions.
Ah, questions the key to unlocking knowledge.
Right. They argue that asking questions not only clarifies understanding, but it also demonstrates genuine interest and encourages the speaker to elaborate.
Ooh, that's a good point. This shows you're not just passively listening, you're actively seeking to learn more.
Exactly. And they even distinguish between different types of questions, you know,
Like what?
like open-ended questions, which invite the speaker to share more broadly, and then closed-ended questions, which seek specific information.
So it's like having different tools in your toolbox.
Exactly. You choose the right tool depending on the job you know.
And for language learners, I think asking questions is particularly valuable.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a chance to clarify vocabulary, check your understanding of grammar structures, and even learn about cultural norms or perspectives that might not be explicitly stated.
It's like turning every conversation into a mini language lesson.
Love that. But it's also about being mindful of how you ask those questions, right?
Oh, for sure. Sophia and James stress the importance of using a curious and non-judgmental tone.
Because you want to encourage open communication.
Exactly. Especially when discussing sensitive topics or when there might be cultural differences at play, you know.
Yeah, a judgmental tone can really shut down a conversation before it even begins.
Whereas a curious and respectful tone can foster trust and encourage the speaker to open up more fully.
It's about creating that safe space where the speaker feels comfortable sharing their thoughts and feelings.
Absolutely. Without fear of being judged or misunderstood.
Now let's talk about paraphrasing.
Paraphrasing.
A technique that Sophia and James highlight as crucial for confirming understanding.
Right. They describe it as the art of repeating what the speaker said in your own words.
To make sure you've captured the essence of their message.
Exactly. It's not just about parroting back the words verbatim, though.
Right. It's about processing the information, internalizing it, and then expressing it in a way that demonstrates comprehension.
It's like taking a mental snapshot of the speaker's message.
And then recreating it from your own perspective.
Exactly. And they even give a helpful example. Let's say someone says, "I'm really worried about my upcoming presentation."
Okay.
You could paraphrase by saying, "So you're feeling anxious about presenting your work."
I see. So you're not just echoing the words, you're truly grasping the underlying emotion.
Exactly. It demonstrates empathy, you know, and it deepens the connection between you and the speaker.
And for language learners, paraphrasing can be an incredibly effective way to practice using new vocabulary and grammar structures.
Oh, totally. It's like a low-stakes opportunity to experiment with the language.
And receive immediate feedback on your understanding.
You're actively engaging with the language, which is far more effective than passively memorizing words from a textbook.
So it's a win-win. You get to practice your language skills, and you show the speaker that you're really trying to understand them.
Absolutely. Moving on, Sophia and James also discuss summarizing as an essential active listening technique.
Summarizing.
Yes, particularly useful after lengthy explanations or complex topics.
Okay.
They describe it as the skill of condensing the main points of a conversation into a concise overview.
It's like creating a mental roadmap of the conversation, right?
Exactly. Highlighting the key takeaways, making sure that everyone's on the same page.
And they emphasize the importance of objectivity, using neutral language when summarizing.
Right. You don't want to inject your own biases or interpretations.
It's about capturing the essence of what was said without distorting the message or imposing your own perspective.
And for language learners, summarizing can be a great way to test their comprehension.
Oh, yeah, you have to really process what you've heard.
Right. And then practice synthesizing that information in the target language.
It's a mental workout for sure.
It is, but it strengthens your language skills while also deepening your understanding of the topic at hand.
So it's another win-win situation.
Exactly. And it's interesting how these techniques all build upon each other.
In what way?
Well, we start with basic eye contact. Then we move to nonverbal cues, avoiding interruptions, asking questions, paraphrasing.
Right.
And now summarizing, they all work together to create this more holistic and engaging listening experience.
It's like a symphony of skills, each playing its part to create a harmonious and meaningful interaction.
I like that. But we're not done yet. Sophia and James delve even deeper into the art of active listening by exploring the crucial roles of empathy and rapport.
Ooh, empathy and rapport. This is where active listening transcends simply understanding the words and moves into the realm of truly connecting with another human being.
Exactly. And that's what we'll be exploring in the next segment. Stay tuned as we uncover how empathy and rapport can transform your conversations and deepen your connections with others.
Welcome back, everyone. We're picking up right where we left off, delving even deeper into the art of active listening.
We've talked about the mechanics, like the eye contact, the questions, the summarizing.
Right. But now it's time to get to the heart of it all, empathy and rapport.
Ooh, those are powerful words.
They are. Sophia and James describe empathy as the ability to not just understand, but actually share the speaker's feelings.
It's like stepping into their shoes, experiencing the world from their perspective.
Exactly. And it's not about simply agreeing with them.
Right. You can have empathy for someone's frustration, even if you don't share their opinion on the matter that caused it.
Exactly.
So how do we actually respond with empathy? What are some practical tips?
Well, Sophia and James suggest first and foremost acknowledging the speaker's feelings explicitly.
Okay, so like verbalizing it.
Yeah, like saying something like, that sounds incredibly frustrating, or I can see why you'd feel hurt.
So it's just validating their experience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Without necessarily endorsing a particular viewpoint.
Right.
And they also caution against jumping in with unsolicited advice.
Yeah. Sometimes people just need to vent. They don't want solutions. Exactly. Sometimes giving advice can make the speaker feel like you're dismissing their emotions or trying to fix them.
Like you're saying, get over it.
Yeah.
Which is never helpful.
Right. Sometimes the most powerful form of support you can offer is just listening with a compassionate ear.
Just being there for them.
Exactly.
So how do we know what the speaker really needs?
Well, Sophia and James suggest asking something like, would you like to brainstorm some ideas, or do you just need to talk it through?
Ooh, I like that. It empowers the speaker to choose the kind of support they need in that moment.
Exactly.
And I think this is especially important for language learners.
Oh, absolutely.
Imagine you're conversing in your target language and someone shares a personal story.
Right.
Being able to respond with empathy, even if your vocabulary is limited, shows a level of understanding that transcends mere words.
It's so true. It builds that connection, that sense of trust.
And that can make the other person feel more comfortable opening up to you, which can further accelerate your language learning journey.
It's like unlocking a secret level of communication.
Exactly. It's about connecting on a human level.
Absolutely. And that brings us to rapport, which Sophia and James describe as a positive connection built on trust, respect, and mutual understanding.
It's the foundation upon which open and honest communication can flourish.
Think of it like the warm-up act before a concert.
Okay.
Rapport sets the stage, creating an atmosphere where everyone feels comfortable and engaged, ready to fully appreciate the performance that follows.
I love that analogy. So how do we build rapport?
Well, one way is by finding common ground with the speaker, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, like shared interests, similar experiences.
Exactly. It could even just be a mutual appreciation for a certain type of humor.
It's like discovering a hidden pathway that leads to a deeper connection.
I like that. Sophia and James give an example. Imagine two people at a party who both love to hike.
Okay.
That shared interest instantly creates a bond.
It's a starting point for conversation.
Exactly. And for language learners, seeking out these commonalities can be a fantastic way to initiate conversations, practice your skills, and build relationships with native speakers.
It's a reminder that language learning isn't just about grammar and vocabulary.
Right.
It's about connecting with people on a human level.
Absolutely. And Sophia and James, they also emphasize the importance of demonstrating genuine interest in the speaker,
Yeah, like asking thoughtful questions.
Yeah.
Truly listening to their responses.
It's about sending that message that you are genuinely curious about them.
That you value their perspective.
Exactly, that you want to learn more about their experiences. And sometimes a simple compliment can go a long way.
Ooh, compliments. We all love those.
Right. Recognizing someone's accomplishments, acknowledging their efforts, or simply expressing appreciation for their insights can really strengthen the connection.
And create a more positive and supportive atmosphere.
Exactly.
And we can't forget about nonverbal communication.
Oh, right. Maintaining eye contact, nodding in agreement, using open and welcoming body language.
It all contributes to creating a more positive and engaging interaction.
Those subtle cues, they convey warmth, sincerity, and a genuine desire to connect.
So to recap, empathy is about stepping into the speaker's shoes and sharing their feelings, while rapport is about building a bridge of trust and mutual understanding. Together, they transform active listening from a mechanical skill into an art form, a way of being in the world that fosters deeper connections and more meaningful interactions.
And for language learners, mastering these techniques can open up a whole new world of possibilities.
It's like taking your language skills from the textbook to the real world, from basic comprehension to genuine human connection.
And that's something truly worth striving for. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'd like to leave you with a question to ponder.
Okay,
How can you apply these active listening techniques in your own conversations,
good one.
both in your target language and your native tongue, to enhance understanding and build stronger connections?
It's a journey worth embarking on.
It is. And the rewards are immeasurable.
Thank you for joining us on this exploration of active listening. We hope you've gained some valuable insights and practical tips that you can apply in your own language learning journey and beyond.
Remember, active listening is a skill that can be developed and refined with practice. The more you consciously engage in these techniques, the more natural and effortless they will become. And who knows, you might even discover hidden depths in your conversations and relationships that you never knew existed.
Thank you for listening to this week's Smart Podcast. We hope you found this deep dive insightful and inspiring. Until next time, happy listening.